Imagine a vast river, the mighty Zambezi, flowing through the heart of southern Africa. Along its fertile banks, a remarkable story of migration, conquest, and legacy unfolded. This is the story of the Kalolo people and their legendary leader, a man named Sebitwane. For a brief, brilliant moment in the 19th century, they forged an empire that would forever change the destiny of this land. But who were the Kalolo, and where did they come from? Their journey is one of the most epic tales of survival and ambition in African history. It begins hundreds of kilometers to the south, in a time of chaos and upheaval known as the Mefeking. Join us as we uncover the incredible saga of the Kalolo Empire. Our story starts in what is now the Free State of South Africa. Here, among the Sotho-speaking peoples, lived a group known as the Patsa, a branch of the Bafokeng clan. This was the group that would become the Kalolo. In the early 1820s, the entire region was plunged into turmoil. The Mefeking, or the Crushing, was a period of widespread warfare and displacement, largely triggered by the expansion of the Zulu kingdom under Shaka. Caught in this whirlwind of conflict, communities were forced to flee for their lives, becoming migrant warriors themselves. Leading the Patsa was the charismatic and brilliant military strategist, Sebitwane. He realized that to survive, they had to move. They had to find a new home, a place of safety and prosperity, far from the chaos. And so began one of the great migrations of the era, a grueling 1,200-kilometer trek northwards. Imagine the sheer determination it took. They weren't just a band of warriors, they were an entire community on the move. Men, women, children, and their precious herds of cattle. They journeyed through present-day Botswana, fighting off rivals, absorbing other displaced groups, and constantly searching for a place to settle. Sebitwane's leadership was the glue that held them together. He was a master tactician, able to outmaneuver larger forces and inspire unwavering loyalty in his followers. This long march wasn't just a flight, it was a forging. The diverse groups that joined them were welded into a new, powerful identity, the Kalolo, named after Sebitwane's favorite wife, Kalolo. After years of wandering, they finally reached the Great Zambezi River, the gateway to a land of promise, a land they would conquer and call their own. By the late 1830s, the Kalolo stood at the edge of Barotseland, the fertile floodplain of the Upper Zambezi in modern-day Western Zambia. This land was the heart of the Lua Kingdom, a powerful and established dynasty. Crossing the wide, crocodile-infested Zambezi was a monumental challenge, but under Sebitwane's command, they succeeded. What followed was a swift and decisive conquest. The Kalolo war machine, hardened by years of constant fighting, proved superior to the Lua forces. Sebitwane's military genius was on full display. He overthrew the Lua dynasty, establishing his own rule over the rich and productive Buloza floodplain. The Kalolo, once homeless refugees, were now masters of a powerful new empire. They had found their promised land, but holding on to it would require a different kind of genius, not just of war, but of governance. Now, this is where the story gets truly fascinating. Most conquerors of that era would have established a rigid aristocracy, with the victors ruling over the vanquished as a separate, superior class. But Sebitwane was different. He was a nation builder. He implemented a remarkable policy of assimilation, famously declaring that all are children of the chief. He integrated the conquered Lozi people and other local groups directly into the Kalolo state. He shared cattle, the primary form of wealth, with his new subjects and appointed their leaders to positions of authority. This wasn't just generosity, it was a brilliant political strategy. By treating everyone as his people, he minimized resentment and created a unified, cohesive society. This inclusive approach fostered stability and loyalty, allowing his new empire to flourish. It was a model of governance far ahead of its time. One of the most enduring legacies of this policy is linguistic. The Kalolo conquerors were a Sotho-speaking minority ruling over a much larger population that spoke various Luyana dialects. Over time, through intermarriage and daily interaction, the languages began to merge. The Sotho spoken by Sebitwane and his followers became the language of the court, of administration, and of prestige. This Sotho dialect evolved, incorporating elements from the local languages, to become what is known today as Silozi. It is an incredible historical twist. The modern language of the Lozi people of Zambia is not descended from the language of the old Lua kings, but from the language of their 19th century conquerors, the Kalolo. It stands as a living testament to Sebitwane's policy of integration and the profound cultural fusion that took place in the Zambezi floodplain. Life in the Kalolo Empire revolved around the rhythms of the river and the land. The Buloza floodplain was incredibly fertile. replenished annually by the Zambezi's floodwaters. This created rich grazing pastures for their vast herds of cattle, which were the cornerstone of their economy and culture. Cattle were not just a source of food, but a measure of wealth, a currency for trade, and a symbol of social status. Alongside pastoralism, they practiced agriculture, growing sorghum, maize, and other crops in the fertile soil left behind by the receding flood. This combination of cattle herding and farming created a resilient and prosperous society. The empire was strategically located, controlling key trade routes for ivory and other goods, further enhancing its power and wealth. Sebitwane had successfully transplanted his people and their way of life to this new, abundant home. At the heart of this success was Sebitwane himself. He wasn't a distant, tyrannical ruler. He was known for his justice, his generosity, and his personal charisma. He was accessible to his people, often sitting among them to listen to their concerns and settle disputes. The famous missionary and explorer David Livingstone met Sebitwane in 1851, shortly before the chief's death. Livingstone was deeply impressed, describing him as the most intelligent and capable leader he had ever met in Africa. He wrote of Sebitwane's wisdom and his fair-minded rule, noting how he was respected and loved by both his original Kalolo followers and his newly incorporated Lozi subjects. Sebitwane's reign represents the golden age of the Kalolo Empire, a time of unity, stability, and prosperity built by a leader of exceptional vision. Sadly, this golden age was short-lived. The immense task of holding the diverse empire together fell to his son and successor, Sekalitu. Unfortunately, Sekalitu lacked his father's charisma, wisdom, and political skill. Where Sebitwane had united people, Sekalitu sowed division. He abandoned his father's inclusive policies, favoring his Kalolo elite and alienating the majority Lozi population. He was also afflicted with leprosy, which forced him into seclusion and further weakened his authority. Factionalism and discontent grew within the empire. The Lozi, who had been integrated under Sebitwane, began to resent their subordinate status under Sekalitu. The unity that Sebitwane had so carefully built began to crumble. The stage was set for a rebellion. The final chapter of the Kalolo Empire came in 1864. Seizing the opportunity presented by the weak and divisive leadership, the Lozi rose up in a carefully planned revolt. Led by a royal descendant of the old Lua dynasty, they launched a surprise attack that overwhelmed the Kalolo leadership. The rebellion was swift and brutal. The Kalolo ruling class was systematically eliminated, and the Lozi dynasty was restored to power. After just a few decades, the Kalolo Empire had fallen. Some Kalolo women and children were absorbed into Lozi society, but as a distinct political entity, their rule in Barotseland was over. It was a dramatic end to a meteoric rise. The journey that had begun with a desperate flight from the Mefficane ended with a violent overthrow on the banks of the Zambezi. So, what is the legacy of the Kalolo? Though their empire was brief, their impact was profound and permanent. They are not just a footnote in history, they are woven into the very fabric of modern Western Zambia. Their greatest legacy, of course, is the Solozi language, the Sutu-based tongue that is spoken by millions in the region today. It serves as a constant reminder of that period of conquest and fusion. Furthermore, the name Lozi itself, which is now used for the people of Barotseland, is believed to have been derived from Kalolo. The Kalolo story is a powerful tale of migration, resilience, and the complex ways cultures interact, how a small group of refugees, through brilliant leadership, could forge an empire and leave a linguistic and cultural footprint that endures to this day. Thank you for joining us on this journey back in time to the Kalolo Empire. It is a reminder that history is shaped by extraordinary individuals like Sebitwane, and that legacies can be found in the words we speak every day. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to our channel for more stories from history, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.